Let's talk about some DeFi stuff. Let's go to Tender Finance. Not a big DeFi protocol by any stretch of the imagination, but an Arbitrum-based DeFi protocol that suffered from a bit of a hack this morning. And then allegedly it came out that it was a white hat hacker, which is, one of those noble people riding in to battle test and make sure things are good and then give the funds back. So allegedly a white hat hacker here, and that's restored confidence in this token's price. Again, this is Arbitrum-based DeFi, not a ton of TVL according to DeFi Llama. Currently it's at 2.073 million in terms of crypto assets locked on the platform. It had never been higher than $5 million in US dollar terms, but it still speaks to this stuff all being in beta, especially DeFi, experimental, crazy shenanigans occur here and there all the time. All right, Wendy, I'm going to toss this to you. Been a while since we've discussed a DeFi hack. This one, again, not a huge deal, but that sort of speaks to the trend, right? That this stuff is still very much being tested in prod, as it were. What are you thinking? What are you thinking here about Tender.fi?
I think it's just business as usual. I've actually never heard of the project. I hope everything works out. I hope users are not impacted too terribly hard. It was kind of interesting when you said it was a white hat, because I thought white hats were supposed to be the good guys, the guys coming in, like you said, saving the day. But again, it's not really something that's surprising or shocking. I still think that DeFi, crypto, Bitcoin, I feel like everything in the blockchain ecosystem is still technically in beta. These are pretty brand new systems that we see that are offering different types of products and services essentially. So to me, it's kind of a nothing burger. I hope that, again, I do hope that the users that were impacted, I hope they're made whole, and I hope that we see a happy ending here. But I guess you do have to test these types of things to make sure that they work. And hopefully this project continues to thrive if that's what happens in their future. Zach, I saw your hand up though.
Yeah, they say that all DeFi TVL is just one big bug bounty, right? And so folks come along with varying degrees of, I guess, moral character and can exploit these things, and then ultimately maybe, work with the team to restore the funds with some, fee for their white hat services. Others just go fully rogue. So again, we have white hat according to this tweet. We'll see what happens. But it does sort of speak to, again, DeFi being quite experimental, even a few years in. Ben, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think we talk about them being white hat hackers, but maybe this is just part of the kind of development process. And as you say, this is very new technology, and it's open for testing, and sometimes it gets kind of stress tested in this kind of hacking form. So maybe we need a kind of new language for white hat hacking. Maybe it's not hacking so much as user development. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's all part of the process, and I think it's all part of these protocols growing up, really.
Zach, did it indicate if people were able to get their funds or the users that were impacted at all?
Yeah, unclear to me at this point in time, but yeah, that's what it comes down to, right? These are folks who are using this thing. Oftentimes DeFi is a whales game, right? So this is sort of maybe a calculated risk that some of these folks are, taking. But again, in DeFi, in a more mature state, should just be run-of-the-mill people who are looking for a better way to manage their finances, right? And so when you see exploit after exploit after exploit, let's hope we're working towards something collectively as an industry, and not just creating the same mistakes over and over again. It was interesting. Actually, out in East Denver, I moderated a panel with a smart contract auditor and OPSEC people, and talking about how do we make these things more secure, more reliable. Because again, that undercurrent is that the more we see this, the more there's a crisis. A sort of a crisis, like a crisis in confidence that this thing can be what its loudest proponents want it to be, which again is bank-like finance on the internet minus some of the predatory aspects of the traditional financial system. So should this be a stepping stone toward getting there? Again, small project here, not a huge deal, but very much part of something that we've seen time and time again in the last 3-4 years, dating back, to DeFi summer of 2020, which really kickstarted a big wave of excitement and interest in the space. This is something that, again, I think, Wendy, like you said, is kind of par for the course. It's kind of table stakes for a lot of these protocols as they find their footing and start attracting users. But again, it's something that I think the space has to be a bit more diligent about. I don't know. Last thoughts on this one, Ben? Oh, Wendy, perfect.
Oh, I was just going to give a little tip and trick. If you're somebody that's like brand new to DeFi, even if you're experienced in DeFi, just remember, don't use your entire stack to deal with loans or to play around with DeFi protocols. Use a moon bag, use disposable income, use a small amount of money that if it goes poof, you're going to be okay. I feel like a lot of people think that these are tried and true systems, and they're in fact not. And I understand the need to want to be able to get a loan and to get it instantly and not have to deal with the banks, because banks still do practice redlining and predatory practices, like Zach said. But at the same time, these are not the ultimate solution, because there still can be bugs and still issues. And I also think paying attention to which chain you're using the different DeFi services on is important too. I feel like there's some chains that could be more secure than others. So that's another little tip there. But Ben, final thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Obviously, this is very experimental technology, and don't put all your money into it, like any crypto, really. So, yeah, absolutely.